So, with being an electrician, one of the jobs we get asked to do quite often is to do a check on property for people. Sometimes it's because they want to buy a property and they want to know the state of the electrics before they go ahead and buy it, and maybe use my report to negotiate a bit of a reduced price, because they might have to spend 5, 10, 15 grand further down the line updating the electrics, so they want to get that off. Sometimes I do it for sellers because the buyer stipulates it, or sometimes now a lot of estate agents are saying if you want to sell through us you need to have an electrical condition report. So we get asked to do quite a lot of those. Wasn't particularly bothered here when I was looking around to buy this place, because I know it's old and it's going to need completely doing from scratch anyway. I'd have preferred to do it from scratch, just so that I know it's always going to be done properly for the rest of my life. Everything will be done properly, it'll be safe, and there'll be no surprises further down the line once we've decorated and got everything nice. So I'm just going to have a walk around the garage and the house. I've already taken the fuse board covers off, and we're just going to have a look at what we find, what we see. Is it any cause for alarm? What do we think? And we'll go from there. So let's go. So the first thing we're going to want to take a look at is the mains, and we can see here we've got the mains incoming. Comes into this fuse carrier, fuse block. We've got 3 labelled up as a 100 amp fuse, but you can never presume that that's right. Somebody might have been having a bad day and got it wrong, so we never assume. We can take it as guidance. We've got seals on here on the fuses, which is always an indicator that nobody's been meddling, which is good. And we can see we've got an earth cable going up to the main earth terminal there. That's good. It comes out of the supply comes out of the top of the fuses into the meter. Again, that's got seals on, so that's good. It goes down to an isolator. That way anybody in the property or working in the property can isolate from here onwards and work safely, assuming that the isolator works properly, and that's one of the checks that you have to do anyway. So it comes out of the isolator. There's a bit of a mark there, but I think it's a mark on the outside, it's no damage. Into the gland here. That's just a plastic gland. Under the current regulations, that should be a fireproof gland, an intumescent seal inside there, so if any heat or fire does break out, it seals the hole up and the fire can't spread. So at some point that's going to need to be looked at to be changed. And then we'll come up inside. These are called surge protecting devices, and you can see in the window the green's good. If they've been activated like by lightning or a surge in the supply, they'd go red. As soon as they've been activated once, they're done. You need to replace them. You can tell by looking at the board cover, it has been labelled up, which is what you'd expect anyway, really. And then we've got this lying around inside. If you've got things lying around inside, sometimes it's helpful by another electrician leaving them lying around inside, but it shouldn't really be there. We've still got all the metal filings on the bottom there, and that doesn't take 5 seconds to get out, so that's a bit lazy. And then we can see we've got 63 amp MCB that's supplying the house electrics. That goes out into this armoured cable, 10mm armoured cable into the house. We've got a 32 amp RCBO there. If you notice, they're fitted opposite ways to each other, and this one isn't fitted up like that, under tension. That might indicate, well, this cable's quite rigid, so it's putting it under tension, but that would indicate to me that the screw in there fixing it isn't the best. I know from working on this brand of consuming, oh, can you see that there? That comes out. So I'm gonna, before I do anything else, I'm just gonna turn the camera off and put that right. Okay, I've tightened that back up again now. As I was doing it, this cable on this side just came completely out as well. That was wasn't fixed in either. It was caught in, but the screw wasn't clamped on it. So that's the kind of thing we should be looking for and finding as electricians going around and doing these checks for customers, because eventually, with those cables not and clamps not being tight, it's going to cause heat to build up, and where heat builds up, things melt or catch fire, so it'll be nasty down the line. We can also see, if you look in there, there's a bit of damage there. You can see a slight bit of, oh sorry, that's nothing. You can see damage there, and it looks like it's burn mark as well. So we'll sort that out. Well, we won't sort it out, but we're aware of it. I've checked, whilst I just had the camera off, I checked all the screws, made sure everything was tight, all the terminals, so everything is tight for now. We've got here 63 amp 3-phase socket and a 16 amp single phase socket coming from those. Whilst I've got the cover off camera, I'm just going to disconnect those and pull them off because I don't need them. It's just clutter, and I want to get everything clean and tidy. So that's the mains incomer. From here, this 32 amp RCBO is supplying the rest of the garage. So it goes, is this it? Yeah, it goes up there, goes above the trunk in there, through the joist, and that's the one there, the grey one, follows along, and then this is the next bag of tricks that we'll have a look at off camera. Not happy with any of that, to be honest, from what I've seen already, so I will at some point very soon renew it all. We'll go back, look what we just saw there. We've got a junction box. It goes from what looks like 16mm twin and earth down to 6mm twin and earth. I'm hoping that's feeding something. It follows along in that trunk and then it comes to this junction box. So we'll get rid of that, that's doing nothing. Just have a look at what we can see elsewhere. We've got cables up there, that's okay, that's all routed nicely. Coming down to a socket. The socket there is a plasterboard box fixing to the wall. So it's got plenty of holes for insects to get in, moisture to get in, and at some point could possibly cause a fault, which will be a nightmare to find. So that needs fixing. That goes through into the next room. I've got these really old-fashioned fluorescent lights, indicating that nothing's been done in here for quite a while. We've got a junction box there, never good, and especially how many cables are coming off it. And then over at the back, we've got a socket. I can't see how that's being fed. Over here as well, we've got a socket with a 16 socket feeding it, or being fed by it, sorry. So we're going to the other part of the garage, see what lovelies we can find. We've got this, nothing strictly wrong with that, but the way it's fitted, nothing's nice and neat and tidy and square, would indicate it's not being done by an electrician and therefore probably isn't safe. Come along, follow the cables, and look what we've got here. Another junction box feeding that. That's just into an open grommet and the socket's loose on the wall, which is never good. And then everything looks like it's returning here. We've got another junction box. Just a big mass of cables. Another junction box. See the way all the cables twisted and bent, and it just indicates that it's not been installed with TLC and care and respect, which would say that it's not been done by an electrician really. Don't know if you can see up there where the cable goes in. That's just an open 20mm hole. Ideally, well not ideally, it should have grommet or a stuffing gland in it. Another junction box. Seems to have shares and junction boxes, whoever was working here. Not there, that's a stuffing gland, so that's what should have been in the end of that light fitting. Oh look, we've got some spare cable. Ooh, what should we put in? We've got a light switch for the garage here. That was fixed to a unit before the previous bloke we bought the house off took it away. We've got two sockets there, fed in this trunking, and we've got an old socket there that the cable's been cut to. And we've got all this kind of malarkey that people that used to like to put in. So this fuse board, we've got 4 breakers there, but nothing's labelled up, helpfully. So we'll have to find out what they are. And now we shall go through to the house. Okay, so we'll walk around the house and see what we can find before we go to the fuse board, consumer unit. So we've got these sockets there. I think these were borrowed from Noah when he weighed his ark in and fitted here. Got another one up the wall, halfway up the wall. In here, we've got a pull cord, shortened, with a lace off a football boot. Always good to have. I've got a pull cord up there with no pull on it. And then in here, we've just got the one socket and it's really low down on the skirting board. Oh sorry, 2 sockets, there's one there. Nothing there to give me concern. Got a socket there. And then here, we've got a fuse spur there. I presume that's for the bath on the other side. We've got a double socket halfway at the wall and then the switch. And then a collection of double sockets at random heights around the wall. So I would suggest this one here is back to back from the room we've just been in. And then this one here, you can tell it's a new socket, new shape, and they're both clean. So somebody's been doing some DIY there and they've extended the circuit up to this one. Probably not safely, but I'll have a check later. And we've got that one there. Go upstairs and see what we find there. We've got a classic there. A light switch with arc tray fitted over it. Always beautiful. Okay, going upstairs. Got a socket there. Got nothing over there, but with there being a door there, I'm sure if I open that I'll find some junction boxes, because you always do in these old places. So in here, looks like the bed was there and they got a socket to either side of the bed. Really classy wall light, just crammed up in the corner, and a pull cord there. Socket on the wall there. Sometimes you can open these and find the back cut out, nothing there, with really random dodgy electrics in. There's nothing in these. The Lord. And then through this bedroom, still got some of my kit in. So we've got a plug there, plugged in onto a cable and flex, which goes up there, and I can't find the end of that. I had a look for it about a week ago. Socket there, and that's it for this room. Another wall light there, and then so these sockets are all the same height as each other. That's the first. That would indicate to me that these are original and not too much of a concern. So we'll have a look in the eaves storage. There's no light switch in there. Normally you find some old timers put a light switch in. We've got a cable up there. I don't know if you can see that. Don't know where that's coming from. There's one there. See the pipes here, they're the central heating drops that go down into the bedrooms, the radiators. So nothing of concern in there. See this joist though, joist purling. You can see that's come apart quite a way. And this one has dropped lower than the other one. So when we get the builders in to start the works, we're going to have a look at that. Another cable wire clipped to that purling. Don't know where it goes. It goes up there somewhere. here. Off we go. Now we've got a junction box there. That looks like that feeds something in the kitchen below. That's the flue from the Rayburn. Oh, this looks pretty tidy, to be honest. I was expecting to find far more junction boxes than I have done, but I'm sure they are there. So all this is central heating controls. This is an immersion heater. There's a switch for it, it's a sort of a backup. So all in all, that's not too concerning what I found in there upstairs. However, I'm sure that's because I haven't found everything. So we'll go downstairs, we'll go to the mains. I've already taken the cover off. This room here, actually, while we're in here, the living room, really classy. Instead of putting a 3-gang switch in, they put a 1 and a 2. Obviously, the one of them was an add-on at a later point. We've got wall lights there. Over here, that looks like that was the original socket, and then they've had a rewire or some work done at some point and removed it. Not bothered to fill it. This one here, it's always good to cut the skirting board out, isn't it, rather than put everything in its proper place. Well, I suppose there wasn't a proper place back there. Classy ceiling lights. Another random wall light. Everything in the kitchen looks okay. Got a USB socket there. Same height as that one, so possibly fitted by an electrician. Presumably not. Got 3 things there, all wonky, different heights. That would make you think DIY. Or judging by the state of some electricians' work, you never know. Up to a fuse board. Well, before we go up, there's a fuse board cover. Absolutely no labelling or anything on it, so nobody knows what does what. Into the fuse board. So we've got that armoured cable there coming in from the mains in the garage. We've got the mains off the armoured cable there, and then we've got 2 10mm Green and Yellows, which I'm going to presume that they are equipotential bonding conductors, one to the gas and one to the water, but we'll have a look around and see if we can find the other end of them. Just because you can find one in the fuse board doesn't mean the other end is connected, so never just assume anything. And then what we can see is we've got loads of brown and blue cables and a few black and red. Brown and blue was brought in 2004 to replace black and red. So we've only actually got a ring main there, so 1 set of cables, even though there's 2, and another black and blue there for lighting. Now, looking at the state of what we've seen so far, I don't believe for 1 minute that any proper work's been done in here since 2004. So what I'm going to suggest is, or assume until I find otherwise, these brown and blue cables all lead up to junction boxes somewhere off red and black cables. But we'll have a look around. We've got a cable here which is no longer used, so that's made safe-ish. It's hardly safe. Just to wrap a bit of insulation tape around the end, so don't do that. And then what we can see here is, I presume this is going to be a cooker or maybe a shower upstairs. I'm not even sure if there's electric showers upstairs. A ring main and a ring main. That looks like, I can't tell. No, that's a ring main. And then here in a 6-amp breaker, and here in a 6-amp breaker, we've got 2 cables. So 2 different circuits usually, that is, which is, it's a no-no because it's not been designed properly to start with. Why they've done that I don't know, because there's plenty of space to do other work. To stick another 6-amp there, or all these are spaces as well. So why they've done that I do not know. We've got SPD in here again. That's showing green in the window. So it hasn't had a surge, it hasn't been activated. So all in all, it looks nice and tidy. Looks like it's been done properly, but I suspect if if we looked any further, we find quite a bit more. So we'll go find the other end of those 10 mils if we can, the green and yellows. So there should be one at the gas meter. Right, we've got two at the gas meter, obviously. What's going on? So one goes out the house there. One comes, where's that go? To there. So that should be within 600 mil of the meter on the consumer side or customer side before any branches. And we can see there are no branches. It is on the customer side and it's within 600 mil, so that's okay. I'll nip outside in a minute to find out where this goes, if we can find out. All this is the way it's just loose and just slung in like this. It's rough and it's lazy and it's not really professional electrician's work. So we've got 3 green and yellow 10 mil cables here. Where are they? 2 of them go to the meter, gas meter there, and one comes up. Oh my god. This is why we check. So I'm just going to put the camera down, unwrap all that, and then I'll show you what I find. Okay, so I suppose if you're going to do a bodge, you may as well do a proper bodge, aren't you? I don't know if you can see, but some of the cores have been cut off there so that they could fit it in. Some of them have been cut short and aren't in the terminal block. And this end wasn't even in. It just fell out of my hand as I was untaping it, so this is why we do these checks. That'll be reconnected in a minute. We'll go now and check the water. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see anything there because it's all boxed and messed around. So we've got a clamp on there. It's after the stop tap, so it's on the consumer side. It's within 600 mil, but it's after branches. I suppose actually, yes, it is after a branch. I see a branch down there. So this comes up and down, branches to there, and then branches up here. So it's after a branch. It's not within the regs, but it's not really concerned that. But if we're doing a report for a customer, this is what we need to tell them. We need to tell them, does it follow the regs? And let them make their mind up based on our report. So there's no, from what I can see, green and yellow cable anywhere in there. What we can do, what I do quite often, is put my phone in there and take a photo down the back, put phone and a torch in and take a photo down the back. If you can't do that, you can lift the plinth out, put your arm in and take a photo at the back, and just to see if you can see anything connected. And if you can, then you can include that photo with your report and say, although you can't verify that it's there, you can see that our cable is there. So, all in all, a bit dodgy for me. What I'm going to be doing is sorting that gas, the bonding out over there, the green and yellow 10 mil cables. I'm not too bothered about the water here because that will be bonded as soon as I rip the kitchen out. Nothing too concerning up there that I've seen, apart from nothing's labelled. In the garage, I shall be going and taking out that 32 amp and the 16 amp sockets that are next to the fuse board, consumer unit. I will be over the stage of, whenever I get any chance, sort of soon, ripping all the electrics out and replacing. That fuse board is coming out as well. I don't like this brand, the fuse board Live, because I have had that problem before where the screws just shear or turn, or you can't turn them with this brand, so I never use it anymore. I have used it a few times when customers on a really tight budget. So at some point I'll get this replaced. It's not really a priority because I can make it all safe and tighten everything up. I did notice when the camera was off, when I was putting this right, that this MCB is in the right way because there's a little clip there that clips onto the DIN rail, and this RCBO is in the right way. So it's really poor design if you ask me, which shouldn't be happening. These are marked up, colour phased, which is promising. So that's what we found. Sort of found that everything up to this point is perfect. Everything up to this point leaves a lot to be desired. So that's one of the jobs, to repair it and put it all right. I don't understand why they've got a garage board over there when they've got a board there. So I will either put new circuits in and bring them back to this board, or put a new small board up there. But that's further down the line. For what I'm going to do now, turn the camera off. I'll make these safe, well, remove these. I'll remove that back to the junction box there, and then over the next course of a few weeks I shall be ripping stuff out and renewing stuff, as well as working on the house, as well as working on everybody else's house, as well as trying to play with my little boy and see my wife. So I just put the camera away and I was in the process of removing these, and I found also that this 32 amp breaker is protecting this 16 amp socket, which, if you know anything about anything to do with electrics, is not a good idea. Could cause problems, damage to equipment, fires, melting cables, all sorts of issues. Not good. Okay, so I was just in the process of disconnecting everything for the socket here and here on the wall, and for some reason someone has extended the earth there. Even though that's long enough to reach where it needs to go, they've seen fit to extend it. Look at the length of it and how it's installed. Why would you not just put a new piece in? Why would you risk anything with that there? Any joint in a cable is a potential weak spot and a place for resistance to build. Resistance causes heat, heat causes fire and damage. Why would you do that? And then look, we've got the same down here as well. Even though this cable is long enough to go there, as you can see, for some reason somebody has had the bright idea of doing that, and I have no idea why on earth someone would do that. But hey, that's why the world's the way it is, and that's why we do these kind of checks before we buy houses or before we do anything, and it should have been done by an electrician, so it wouldn't need these checks. But hey ho, there we are. This is what we found, and it's a good job we checked. Okay, so we'll have a walk around the outside of the property, and we can see that PIR sensor there disappears into the house. I presume it's going to be doing that floodlight up there. You can tell just the way it's sort of been thrown in that it's not going to be done the best. You've got the feed to this light here as well. These lights have always caused me trouble. Whenever I do some fault finding work, it always ends up being these lights. Well, not always, but quite a lot of the time. We've got some blue MDP pipe there coming up into a conduit through box, up in conduit, and it's got a phone cable going up into the loft. I'm pretty sure that that's for the garage, which is just there, which is the for the burglar alarm. It's got a dialer on it. So we have a look in the shed until you see this little beauty. So there's a light switch somewhere. So a light switch. Someone's launched the cables at the wall and they've stuck. Comes down to this lot. So we've got that open hole there where liquid or insects and stuff can get in. That's on a metal box there, with no grommets on the cable entries. I can't see what that's metal again. No grommets on the cable entries. Got cables just thrown up there. Let's go to that lantern, and the feed to this is that white cable there.
It's got the pressure of those plants pulling down on it. Not good ideally. Keep walking around, see what else we can see. Not electrical, but point that out. Nice straight flue, nearly. What's in here? So remember we saw the 10mm come through the wall. That 10mm is going into the ground. I don't know if that's to a rod or who knows. What else have we got? Got that aerial cable, I presume it is, just thrown at the wall again. Oh, nice. Another floodlight and PIR. Cable just pulled through a hole there, not sealed up, so birds and mice can get in there and start nesting and eating stuff.